Before start this video, please subscribe my channel and click on bell icon. Thanks.
The music industry is a wild and crazy place. It's filled with world-famous stars and their wild, hard-to-believe stories. People can't get enough of that juicy gossip, whether from tabloids, interviews, books, or social media. And it's become big business to report on these larger-than-life superstars. But not all the reports that come out are real. With all the secrecy and scandal around the music biz, it's no wonder that there are tons of crazy myths and urban legends floating around. And many of those are just flat-out false. Today, we'll dive deep into 10 notorious urban legends from the world of music. As it turns out, these 10 myths are totally phony, even if overzealous fans have spread them as gospel for decades. It's time to set the record straight. Related, top 10 freaky urban legends hidden in songs. 10 Jimi Hendrix, not a parakeet pusher. Why do parakeets live in the UK? Great Britain has a wild parakeet problem. Specifically, the ring-necked version of the bird is all over the island. They're not native, and they don't migrate, so they didn't just fly over from Africa or India. Somebody actually brought them to Britain and set them free to roam. Since then, they've multiplied, and now they are a mainstay. But who brought them to live here in the first place? For years now, no one has been able to say for sure if that really happened. And even if it did, Hendrix wouldn't be responsible for the population. One significant event could be the Great Storm of 1987, which wrecked birdhouses across the country. That's how these parakeets became feral and established themselves in Britain. Ever since, it's caused a bit of a problem. But all those things combine to make one point on the matter: Jimi Hendrix is cleared. Even if he did release a pair of parakeets in 1968, they weren't the reason for Britain's aviary infestation. 1. 9 The Monkees, not bestsellers. The Monkees. Mike Nesmith, Mickey Dolenz open up like never before. Studio 10 The Monkees are a beloved band, but even they sometimes took things too far. Take a claim that has been floating around for years about how, in 1967, they outsold both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined. Think about that. Of course, the claim was false. Outselling the Beatles and Stones, combined, in the 60s? No way. But the way it was started in the first place is an interesting early entry into the world of fake news. Monkees member Mike Nesmith admitted in 2015 that he completely made up the sales claim. To drive the point home in that 2015 interview, he called it a complete fabrication and a lie. The origin of this falsehood can be traced back to a 1977 interview in Australia. Then came a point where he asked me about the sales of the Monkees records, and I saw the chance, Nesmith recalled. I said flatly that we sold over 35 million records in 1967. More than the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined. He diligently wrote all this down, and I wondered for a moment if I had chosen too outrageous a lie to tell, but it turned out it had been just right. Oops. 2. 8 The 27 Club, not real 27 Club, the truth behind Hollywood's deadliest conspiracy. The 27 Club is a notorious phenomenon that links musicians like Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse. These talented stars all tragically passed away at the age of 27. That created a mysterious statistical anomaly. By the time of Cobain's demise in the 90s, the concept of the 27 Club had already gained steam. Winehouse's death in 2011 further reminded the world of this eerie pattern. While these are the most well-known cases, other musicians such as Brian Jones, Robert Johnson, Alan Blindell Wilson, Ron Pigpen McKernan, and many more have also been associated with the 27 Club. Analyzing the deaths of over 11,000 musicians spanning 60 years, researchers found that only 1.3% of them died at that age. Surprisingly, the number of deaths was higher at 28. As expected, the mortality rate increased with age. And it reaches its peak between 55 and 65 years old. The deadliest age turns out to be 56, claiming the lives of 2.3% of musicians. No, we're not talking about Elvis Presley here. Although there is that myth. Instead, let's venture into the idea that Jim Morrison, the charismatic frontman of The Doors, pulled off the ultimate disappearing act. Morrison's untimely demise in 1971 happened under somewhat mysterious circumstances. Quickly, it fueled the flames of speculation and conspiracy. The musician tragically passed away in his Paris apartment, joining the infamous 27 Club. A drug overdose seemed the likely cause of death, but his partner Pamela Courson feared legal repercussions. So she provided a false statement to French cops. Astonishingly, this notion was supported by some of his closest friends, including Ray Manzarek, the co-founder and keyboardist of The Doors. But it's not true. Regardless of his official cause of death, Morrison's burial was very, very real. According to these claims, the musician sought treatment at an exclusive medical facility hidden within the Swiss Alps to overcome his heroin addiction. It makes sense, at least. Richard's ability to withstand the effects of his excessive lifestyle has captivated the public's imagination. So the notion of him rejuvenating his body through a total blood transfusion garnered attention. Was it really true? Sadly, it ultimately proved to be a fictitious account concocted by the Rolling Stone stud himself. In an interview about the supposed blood transfusion, Keith fessed up to the fake. Someone asked me how I cleaned up, so I told them I went to Switzerland and had my blood completely changed, he admitted. I was just fooling around. I opened my jacket and said, "How do you like my blood change?" That's all it was, a joke. I was king sick of answering that question. So I gave them a story. And what a story it was. According to this conspiracy theory, the real Avril Lavigne tragically passed away in 2003. The death would have come shortly after her rise to fame with her debut album Let Go. She viewed it as nothing more than a frivolous internet rumor. Idle minds yearning for fresh gossip were behind it, she swore. And while she has acknowledged the theory in recent years, she only does it to completely dismiss it as baseless and phony. How did this happen? Well, as the band was laying down the track, a woman was supposedly killed nearby. Some say it was just outside the studio, while others claim it happened in a different room or even a neighboring apartment. In that instance, the scream supposedly belonged to Esther Cordet, a model who posed nude and dripping with honey for the album cover. However, it remains unclear how her scream ended up on the recording. In truth, the explanation was much simpler. The scream was neither accidental nor from a woman. It was actually created by Billy Beck, the keyboardist of the Ohio Players. He wanted to add an extra touch to the track, so he wailed away. And even though he succeeded in making an impact, it wasn't quite what he had originally intended. That happens especially when the lyrics or artist's intentions are not clear. Of course, this leads to a perfect breeding ground for rumors. There are different versions of the story, but the most common one suggests that Collins once witnessed a tragic incident. It is said that a man drowned while another person callously stood by, refusing to offer help. Depending on the theory, Phil was either too distant, too intoxicated, or too young to intervene. However, the wildest tales take it a step further. Some claim Collins hired a detective to track down this heartless person. When I was writing this, I was going through a divorce, Collins explained once during a BBC interview meant to clear the air. And the only thing I can say about it is that it's obviously in anger. So what makes it even more comical is when I hear these stories, which started many years ago, particularly in America, of someone coming up to me to say, "Did you really see someone drowning?" I said, "No, that's wrong." 8. 2. The Beatles, not Royal Stoners. The Beatles received their MBEs, Beatle. The Beatles were an integral part of the music scene in the 1960s. And they were said to have pulled off a daring act of rebellion at Buckingham Palace in 1965, Getting High. Legend has it that during a visit to the palace, where they were awarded MBEs by Queen Elizabeth II, the Fab Four sought solace in the bathroom. There, they supposedly sparked up a joint together to calm their nerves. However, the authenticity of this tale remains disputed. Paul McCartney and George Harrison have dismissed his claim. Instead, they assert they merely indulged in regular cigarettes. Even John Lennon himself later recanted his initial statement boasting of the supposed Doobie Day. Instead, he later implied that this momentous event in the band's career was nothing more than an imaginative lie. But to hear the band members themselves explain things, it would seem the weed story is phony. Still, it has become an enduring part of the Beatles' folklore, forever etching their rebellious spirit into the annals of music history. So it comes as a shock to see he has been falsely accused of being a ruthless killer during his time in the U.S. Army. However, this rumor couldn't be further from the truth. While it's true that Denver hailed from a military background, with his father serving in the U.S. Air Force, his own aspirations of becoming a pilot were dashed due to poor eyesight. Additionally, a lawnmower accident during his teenage years left him missing 2 toes. So he was already out from being a high-level military sniper before his supposed dreams of military glory even kicked off. Now, it is true that in 1964, Denver did receive an Army induction notice. However, his health issues rendered him classified as 1Y. That limited his eligibility for service to only times of war or national emergencies. Consequently, he never served in the military at all. Even if he had, his severe visual impairment would have made him unfit for the role of a sniper. Thanks for watching. Credits to listverse.com. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.